Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janna Balava Girivaradari Gopi Janna Balava Girivaradari Yasodanandana Vrajajanna Ranjana Yasodanandana Vrajajanna Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parvaja Kacharya Asko Tarasata Shishimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai
Jai.
Jam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parvaja Kacharya Asko Tarasata Shishimad Shringa Guru Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai
Jai.
Anantikoti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai
Jai.
ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai
Jai.
Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai
Jai.
Ramsa Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Ki Jai
Jai.
Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Gopinath Shamakund Radhakund Giri Govardhan
Jai.
Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai
Jai.
Mayapur Dham Ki Jai
Jai.
Navadvip Dham Ki Jai
Jai.
Puri Dham Ki Jai
Jai.
ISKCON Centers Worldwide Ki Jai
Jai.
Yamunamai Gangamai Ki Jai
Jai.
Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi Ki Jai
Jai.
Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai
Jai.
Harinam Sankirtan Jaga Ki Jai
Jai.
Hare Krishna Mahamantra Ki Jai
Jai.
Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Jai
Jai.
Prashadam Distribution Ki Jai
Jai.
Ora Premananda Hari Hari Bol
Hari Bol.
All glories to the assembled devotees
Hare Krishna.
All glories to the assembled devotees
Hare Krishna.
All glories to the assembled devotees
Hare Krishna.
All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga.
All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 So today we're reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, and this is from the 3rd canto, chapter 8, text 28 to 30. We're going to finish the chapter here. So this is a very wonderful chapter. So we entitled today's topics as a royal opportunity for us. Such a royal opportunity. Here we see Lord Brahma, and he is actually enlightened. He actually begins to see the Lord. And we'll read more about that here in the chapter, the end of the chapter. And so we'll just dive right into it. We'll go right here into the verses. What I'm going to do is read the verses up to the last verse, and then we'll chant the last verse together. There's one small purport, and here in the 29th verse, and then there's one small purport at the end. Okay, so this is text number 28. O my dear Vidura, the Lord's waist was covered with yellow cloth, resembling the saffron dust of the kadamba flower, and it was encircled by a well-decorated belt. His chest was decorated with the śrīvatsa marking and a necklace of unlimited value. Text 29. As a sandalwood tree is decorated with fragrant flowers and branches, the Lord's body was decorated with valuable jewels and pearls. He was the self-situated tree, the Lord of all others in the universe. And as a sandalwood tree is covered with many snakes, so the Lord's body was also covered by the hoods of Ananta. Purport. The word avyakta mulam is significant here. Generally, no one can see the roots of a tree, but as far as the Lord is concerned, He is the root of Himself, because there is no other separate cause of His standing but He Himself. In the Vedas, it is said that the Lord is Swasrayashraya. He is His own support, and there is no other support for Him. Therefore, avyakta means the Supreme Lord Himself and no one else. So texts 30 and 31. Like a great mountain, the Lord stands as the abode for all moving and non-moving living entities. He is the friend of the snakes, because Lord Ananta is His friend. As a mountain has thousands of golden peaks, so the Lord was seen with the thousands of golden helmeted hoods of Ananta-nāga. And as it's going down, then went back up. Hello? Are you still there? Hare Krishna.
I'm here. I hear you loud and clear.
Okay, I just thought I heard something. Okay, so as a mountain has thousands of golden peaks, so the Lord was seen with the thousands of golden helmeted hoods of Ananta-nāga. And as a mountain is sometimes filled with jewels, so also His transcendental body was fully decorated with valuable jewels. As a mountain is sometimes submerged in the ocean water, so the Lord is sometimes submerged in the water of devastation. Lord Brahma, thus looking upon the Lord in the shape of a mountain, concluded that He was Hari, the personality of Godhead. He saw that the garland of flowers on His chest glorified Him with Vedic wisdom in sweet songs and looked very beautiful. He was protected by the Sudarshan wheel for fighting, and even the sun, moon, air, fire, etc. could not have access to Him. So text 32 and 33. Actually, I think we're going to chant 33, but anyway, I'll skip this translation on this one here. When Lord Brahma, the maker of the universal destination, thus saw the Lord, he simultaneously glanced over creation. Lord Brahma saw the lake in Lord Vishnu's navel and the lotus flower, as well as the devastating water, the drying air, and the sky, all became visible to him. Okay, so this is 33. So let's chant this together. Sa karma bijam rajaso parakta sa karma bijam rajaso parakta praja sisrikshan niyad eva drishtva praja sisrikshan iyad eva drishtva astad visargabimukhas tam idam astad visargam bimukhas tam idam avyakta Vartmani Abhiveshitatma Avyakta Vartmani Abhiveshitatma Sakarma Bijam Rasa Soparakta
Sakarma Bijam Rajasopakarta
Prajasisrikshan Iyareva Drishtva
Prajasasrikshan Niyadeva Drishtva
Astar Visargam Bimukhastam Idyam
Astal Visarga Bimukastam Idyam
Avyakta Vartmani Adiveshitatma
Avyaktavartmanya Viveshitatma
Sakarma Bijam Rasa Rajasoparaktaha
Sakarma Bijam Rajasoparakta
Prajasisrikshan Iyareva Drishtva
Prajasasrikshan Niyadeva Drishta
Astal Visarga Bimukhastam Idyam
Astal Visarga Bimukastam Idyam
Avyakta Vartmani Abhiveshitatma
Avyaktavartmanya Viveshitatma Sakarma Bijam Rajasoparakta
Sakarma Bijam Rajasoparakta
Prajasasrikshan Niyadeva Drishtva
Prajasasrikshan Iya Eva Drishtva
Astal Visarga Bimukastam Idyam
Astal Visarga Bimuktastat Idyam
Avyaktavartmanya Viveshitatma
Anyaktavartmanya Viveshitatma. From Ananda.
Ron? Himanaji?
Sakarma Bijam Rajasoparakta
Sakarma Bijam Rajasoparakta
Prajasasrikshan Iyad Eva Drishtva
Prajasasrikshan Niyadeva Drishtva
Astad Visargar Bimuktastat Idyam
Astal Visarga Bimukastam Idyam
Anyaktavartamya Viveshitatma
Avyaktavartmanya Viveshitatma. You chanted that perfectly. That's good. Tricky one.
Anybody else?
Ramananda's, I think, dropping his son off. He's listening, but he can't chant. He'll be back at Command Central in just a few minutes. Usually, the first 10 minutes he's away from the controls and unable to chant with us, but he'll be right with us.
Okay. There's only the three of us. No. Okay, so let me go to the next. Let's do the word for word. Sa. He, Brahma. Karma Bijam. Seed of worldly activities. Rajasa Uparakta. Initiated by the mode of passion. Rajaha. Living entities. Sisrikshan. Willing to create progeny. Iyat. All the five causes of creation. Eva. Thus. Drishtva. Looking on. Astat. Prayed for. Visarga. Creation after the creation by the Lord. Abhimukai.
Abhimuka.
Towards.
Towards.
Tam. That. Idyam. Worshipable. Avyakta. Transcendental. Vartmani. On the path of. Abhiveshita. Fixed. Atma. Mind. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Lord Brahma, thus being surcharged with the mode of passion, became inclined to create. And after seeing the 5 causes of creation indicated by the personality of Godhead, he began to offer his respectful prayers on the path of the creative mentality. Please repeat. Lord Brahma, thus being surcharged with the mode of passion, became inclined to create. And after seeing the 5 causes of creation, indicated by the personality of Godhead, he began to offer his respectful prayers on the path of the creative mentality. Purport.
Gauda, Prabhu.
Yes.
As Narhari said, I'm driving right now. I'm not going to be back to mute anybody for another 10 or 15 minutes. So if I can just ask everybody to please mute yourselves.
All right, I'll mute myself.
No noise coming through. Anyway, sorry about this, Prabhu, but I'll be back soon.
No problem. Looking forward to seeing you again. Okay, so purport. Even if one is in the material mode of passion, to create something in the world, he has to take shelter of the Supreme for the necessary energy. That is the path of the successful termination of any attempt. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 3rd canto, 8th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Manifestation of Brahma from Gaudacandra Vishnu. Jai. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gananjana Salakaya Chakshus Urmilitam Nena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manovistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Upakadamayam Dadanti Swapadantikam. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vanchakalpa Turvischa Kripa Sindhu Vivcha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So the verses again, I'll go through them again. O my dear Vidura, the Lord's waist was covered with yellow cloth, resembling the saffron dust of the kadamba flower, and it was encircled by a well-decorated belt. His chest was decorated with the śrīvatsa marking and a necklace of unlimited value. As a sandalwood tree is decorated with fragrant flowers and branches, the Lord's body was decorated with valuable jewels and pearls. He was the self-situated tree, the Lord of all others in the universe. And as a sandalwood tree is covered with many snakes, so the Lord's body was also covered by the hoods of Ananta. Like a great mountain, the Lord stands as the abode for all moving and non-moving living entities. He is the friend of the snakes, because Lord Ananta is his friend. As a mountain has thousands of golden peaks, so the Lord was seen with the thousands of golden helmeted hoods of Ananta-nāga. And as a mountain is sometimes filled with jewels, so also is his transcendental body was fully decorated with valuable jewels. As a mountain is sometimes submerged in the ocean water, so the Lord is sometimes submerged in the water of devastation. Lord Brahma thus looked upon the Lord in the shape of a mountain, concluded that he was Hari, the personality of Godhead. He saw that the garland of flowers on his chest glorified him with Vedic wisdom and sweet songs and looked very beautiful. He was protected by the Sudarshan wheel for fighting. And even the sun, moon, air, fire, etc., could not have access to him. When Lord Brahma, the maker of the universal destination, thus saw the Lord, he simultaneously glanced over creation. Lord Brahma saw the lake in the Lord Vishnu's navel, and the lotus flower, as well as the devastating water, the drying air, and the sky, all became visible to him. Lord Brahma, thus being surcharged with the mode of passion, became inclined to create. And after seeing the 5 causes of creation, indicated by the personality of Godhead, he began to offer his respectful prayers on the path of the creative mentality. So here we see it's very wonderful chapter. It's ending here. We know, like kind of a little summary here, that Vidura is asking many questions to Maitreya. And in this particular chapter, Maitreya is responding. And this is where the Bhagavatam begins. He said, I shall now recite the Bhagavad Purana, which was directly spoken by the Supreme Lord. And this was the Bhagavatam that was spoken by Sankarshan to the great sages, beginning with the 4 Kumaras. And it was for the benefit of all those people who are entangled in extreme miseries. It's interesting, they're entangled, they're working so hard, and it's just for the sake of very little pleasure. So this particular information that's given to us about the creation, as that's what Vidura suggested to Maitreya that he wanted to hear first, was that he start with the creation. And it must be important because it's also described in the 2nd canto, which we have read previously. And here in the 3rd canto, it's being described now. And then at the end of the 3rd canto, it'll be described again to Lord, Devahuti by Lord Kapila. So we see Lord Brahma, and he is the just coming through the partial creation. The partial devastation. Everything is destroyed in his night, and then he's now appearing again on the lotus flower. This is the lotus flower is actually the Virat Rupa. And Lord Brahma was bewildered by his existence. He entered into the water in the hollow of that lotus stem, and then he still couldn't discover his origin. And then he came upon the time factor. This was a fear for him because, that actually time represents the Lord's chakra. And then he became fearful. It's like, you're looking down on something, very high, and you look down and there's like a fear that overcomes you. So somewhere or another, Lord Brahma experienced this fearfulness. So he was in ignorance. He was wondering, who am I? How did I get here? What's the ultimate cause of everything? So we know that he started to perform tapa, penance. He executed it with, perseverance. And if one does this properly, then he is sure to be crowned with success. And this is what happened, is actually, as in the Bhagavad Gita, it says, Bhaktyamam abhijananti yavanya shasmi tatvataha tatomam tatvato gyatva visate tad anantaram. That one can understand me as I am, as a Supreme Personality of Godhead, only by devotional service. And when one is in full consciousness of me by such devotion, he can enter into the kingdom of God. So that's in the Bhagavad Gita. And this is what happened, actually. Lord Brahma, he became enlightened. He was surely crowned with success. And he not only saw creation, but he actually entered into the kingdom of God. He had a vision into that. He saw Krishna there laying on this bed of Seshanaga. And he's just, in this particular part of the chapter, it's very beautifully described, like a mountain, very beautiful with gems and jewels and like snakes on a, sandalwood tree. There's Seshanaga. So it's very beautifully described, and Lord Brahma was amazed how he could see that this form took over, encompassed everything practically in creation. So this devotional service is required to understand our source of existence, and that is Krishna. And we can't acquire this knowledge by our own endeavor or our own mental speculation, as described in the last verse that we read, that even though you may be as great as Lord Brahma, live as long as him, have the great potency and empowerment of him, still, you will not be able to understand on your own. You need the energy, you need Krishna's potency to do it. So when he became mature in devotional service, then he was able to see everything. And everything, was different from his conceit. Just everything, like if we wake up one day, and you begin to see things how it really is, then we'll begin to understand things differently. So this is what he saw. He saw the lotus. It was spread throughout the universe. He even saw the form of Krishna, the root of all creation, and also the potency to carry out this creation. And this is what he saw. It's described, it's described in that verse. What was it again? The 5 sources of creation that was mentioned. So he saw the 5 causes. In the previous verse, those 5 causes are described. He saw the lake in Lord Vishnu's navel. That's 1. He saw the lotus flower. 2. He saw the devastating water. 3. He saw the drying air and the sky. 4 and 5. So these became visible to him. So he saw the cause of creation indicated by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is nice. After he had performed all this tapasya for 100 celestial years, and this was tapasya. It's actually activities that are performed for the pleasure of Krishna and focusing one's mind on Krishna. And then Krishna revealed to him how all this was described. The devastating water, as we mentioned here. And then you can see here, he saw Lord Vishnu. He saw all the different things in nature, the wind, the sky. He saw himself. And then he became so charged with the motive passion. And then he was inclined to create the universe as it was before. So in that mood, we're going to go into the next chapter. He's going to offer some very beautiful prayers, as Prabhupada hinted in the last verse. And this is the Brahma Samhita. And he's going to describe the Lord's form. He describes the fate of the living entities. And he describes the process for us to see the Supreme Lord ourselves. So this is the fate. We have our fate, and that's our karma, our desires. That actually is our material suffering, is these desires. So we become attached to things, not knowing the implications. These things in the material world actually cause misery. There's one very potent phrase Prabhupada mentions in this chapter in one of the purports, and I kind of summarize it a little bit, and how we work and not knowing the implications. And then he says, temporary benefit for perpetual bondage. What a statement. Temporary benefit for perpetual bondage. So this is what's happening. So here's what he was enlightened, and he saw the gross form, the material universe. He saw the subtle Hiranyagarbha, which is the spiritual energy, and then the material creative force, the Lord Brahma, he saw himself, the Rajaguna. So he had this impetus to create, but he didn't quite have the ability yet. He had the impetus, but he didn't have the ability. He didn't have the energy yet, so he was still perplexed. And it shows to show that no one can understand by his own power, that he actually needs the help of the Supreme Lord. So Krishna, he exhibits his potencies, and he is omnipotent. There was a very nice purport in the Chaitanya Charitamrita where it was described how the Lord Chaitanya had 5 features, and he was talking about his unlimited and limited potencies. And in order for someone to be omnipotent, then he must be able to display both of these, the unlimited and the limited. And we, the living entities, we're endowed with his limited potency, although we're part of the Lord. And the Lord, he displays his spiritual world, and that's by his unlimited potencies. So the limited potencies of the mature world, we display. Sometimes we think we do have some potency to create, to do some different things. And Prabhupada quotes a verse from the Bhagavad Gita in that particular purport, that the aparayam itastva anyam verse, that the jiva bhuta mahabahu, that besides these inferior energies, Almighty Armed Arjuna, there's another superior energy of mind, which comprises all living entities who are exploiting the resources of this material inferior nature. So Prabhupada describes right here after that verse, he says the jiva bhuta, the living entities, control this material world with their limited potencies. Generally, people are bewildered by the activities of scientists and technologists. Due to Maya, they think that there is no need of God, and that they can do everything and anything. But actually they cannot. Since this cosmic manifestation is limited, their existence is also limited. Everything in this material world is limited, and for this reason there is creation, sustenance, and dissolution. However, in the world of unlimited energy, the spiritual world, there is neither creation nor destruction. So here we're seeing the deities of creation and destruction and maintenance, which is Lord Vishnu. That's the most difficult, is to maintain something. And Krishna is actually maintaining all living entities, like a mountain is described. It's a shelter for all living entities. And this is a very wonderful picture that describes that and shows that. So we can see here how Srimad Bhagavatam is explaining everything, how we have these different factors. Prabhupada mentions the 5 causes of creation, and it kind of reminded me of how we have these 5 factors of action that's described in the Bhagavad Gita, which is very important. The 5 factors of action in the verse that's in the 18th chapter, I believe. Yeah, it's several verses. And there's that one verse, the 14th verse. Adhishtanam tata karta karanam cha pritag vidham vivadas cha pritak chesta daivim chaivatra panchamam. That the place of action, the body, the performer, the various senses, the many different kinds of endeavor, and ultimately, it's the super soul that is, the cause of everything. Those are the 5 factors of action. So we shouldn't be so proud to think that, we can do everything on our own. But actually, whatever we do, right or wrong, with our mind, our bodies, our speech, it's all caused by these 5 factors. And, Krishna is describing that actually it is the super soul who ultimately sanctions all these activities. So we have to become intelligent. We have to see things as they are. We can't think that, it's by my power I've done all this. It's by me. No, or it's mine. We can't see like that. That is not the proper way to see things. But just see, we're beginning to see, we're getting the light of the Srimad Bhagavatam. It's explaining everything. So just like we have a beautiful chandelier, it lights up the room. We have a very wonderful vision. We see beauty. So in the same way, Srimad Bhagavatam is revealing everything to us. But unfortunately, at times it gets lost. And just like in India, the British, they are actually, in their schools, they were teaching that the Srimad Bhagavatam, it's just superstitious and it's all nonsense. So even like people from India sometimes have a hard time understanding the explanations given in the Srimad Bhagavatam. They seem pretty far out, pretty amazing. And just like we're hearing Lord Brahma and Krishna and the lotus and the Sesha-nagas and all these different things, how within the stem, how can we understand these things? But there's interesting definition I heard of explanation. Ex refers to explain, and plain, like in explain, means to explain in a plain way, or in a way that's ordinary or familiar to us. Because actually we can only understand things that are familiar to us. So some of these things we're hearing in the Bhagavatam is like, they're so far out and mystical and unfamiliar that we can't even relate. So we're trying to understand, like Lord Brahma was in ignorance, we're trying to understand our cause. But if we see things and we're trying to explain things that's extraordinary, working our way back to Krishna, seeing all these, the Lord Brahma, the creation, the universes, all these different things, that's the ascending process of how the creation is manifested. And then there will be, as they explain here, this definition of explain, there will be an explanation gap, because people can only understand what's familiar. And if it's very unfamiliar, they think, oh, it's superstitious, it's just nonsense. That's never, within my experience. So that's how we can only understand, what's familiar. But the Srimad Bhagavatam is so full of far out extraordinary concepts. But actually, if we go to the source of this knowledge, which is Krishna, as Lord Brahma did, he went to the source. He actually did meditation on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and then there's no gap. And then everything is clear. It's like the descending process. So Srila Prabhupada is amazing. I mean, he came with this very bold presentation of the Srimad Bhagavatam. As we know, Srila Prabhupada came, this is a nice chandelier I found of a ship. We know Srila Prabhupada is like the captain of the ship, is our spiritual master. Like there was one chandelier I was going to grab and I forgot. It looked like these roots or branches of a tree. Very cool. Which is described in this particular, these verses we're reading now. Krishna is like the root, and of everything. He's the foundation of everything. So this is like the light. And there's a very amazing how Srila Prabhupada, he gives this very bold presentation. I actually showed a video last class I gave of the Temple Vedic Planetarium, where he shows a chandelier, and he shows the structure of the universe, and how the creation from the Srimad Bhagavatam, especially the extraordinary 5th canto, which, a lot of devotees, really try not to get too absorbed in. Some devotees, because of they're so far out, they might even shake their faith and even leave Krishna consciousness. So it's a pretty extraordinary part of the Bhagavatam. So Srila Prabhupada had this perfect strategy to actually make sure there isn't no gap in understanding the Srimad Bhagavatam. So he was very, we know throughout his time, he was always interested in publishing Vedic literature as the Srimad Bhagavatam, to get this knowledge out there, to make people familiar with this knowledge. Give this message. The more you give this message out, the more and more people become familiar with the knowledge. And this wonderful strategy of, the biggest place, at the center of ISKCON, Srila Prabhupada came, to build this temple, the Vedic Planetarium. He came from India. He came on, as we see here, the boat again. Srila Prabhupada comes with the help of the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself and all his incarnations with this message of Krishna. Krishna is tu Bhagavan Swayam. At Krishna, he is everything. He's the source of everything. And we know we have to get in touch with him, the source. So this was his strategy, and we see how Prabhupada came, and he started this wonderful movement of ISKCON, and we take advantage of this. Get on the boat. Get on the structure. So Srila Prabhupada came, gave us this message, gave us the Srimad Bhagavatam, so that we can actually understand who we are and where we're going. So what does Srila Prabhupada do? He builds, the biggest temple. He's building the biggest temple now. And right in the middle of the temple, he's putting this huge chandelier of a description of the universe. So that people will become more and more familiar. They'll be able to see these things. And they'll be able to understand more and more. And then they'll see how, once they become familiar, then they'll started to notice things and how things fit into that picture. They'll understand how everything's coming from Krishna and how Krishna is everywhere, just like Lord Brahma saw. So the pure devotee has this potency. He actually has all mystic cities, or he has the potential of displaying all mystic cities if Krishna wills. But we know the pure devotee is not interested in these things, because he knows there's no satisfaction, there's no happiness in these things. But just like trying to understand the universe, it's very mystical. But the pure devotee receives, this knowledge, this mysticism. It's a science that's been handed down. Even though it may be far out, if you know the science, then it's not very difficult. There's one, I was listening to a lecture, but I think it was another devotee who was giving a lecture, but he's talking about Sariputta Prabhu, and he was describing how there's actually 28 different dimensions of space. Like we may be familiar with 3-dimensional space or 4-dimensional space, but there's actually 28 different dimensions. We can't even imagine how that's how the yogis, the mystic yogis, are able to grab things like many mountains, different parts of the world or anywhere in the universe practically. They could grab things with Prapti Siddhi. People could understand these mysticisms, understand Tri Kalagya. It's like Maitreya is like seeing what Lord Brahma is seeing. Because Maitreya received this information through disciplic succession that was handed down through Lord Shankarshan. And that's the Srimad Bhagavatam too. So the Srimad Bhagavatam is eternal. It's not just when it was narrated by Sukadeva Goswami, but it was narrated at other times also. So this is eternal knowledge. So it's like Maitreya had this mystic cities, like this Tri Kalagya. He could see, what happened in the past. He could be there and see the beginning of the universe. He can see where Lord Brahma is seen. So in the same way, through Srila Prabhupada's instructions, we can actually see, we can get out of this darkness, and we can be able to see some light. And if we just simply have to agree with Srila Prabhupada's instructions. What was Srila Prabhupada's instructions? Look at all the people suffering. Prabhupada basically had 3 instructions. If you just chant Hare Krishna and don't worry and be happy. These are 3 instructions that Srila Prabhupada gave us. So all we have to do is agree and surrender to them. And then we'll also be crowned with success. And in the end, we see as Srila Prabhupada has given his instructions, many devotees were very satisfied. You get peace of mind. You get understand the mysteries of the universe, mysteries of life, as it's explaining here on the beaches of California here in Venice, to devotees about how life comes from life. So we understand all these things, and ultimately we go back home, back to Godhead. And this is what Prabhupada has brought us, the process of devotional service. Prabhupada didn't come here to cheat us. If we feel that we're not experiencing this happiness, this peace of mind, all these different things, sometimes we see devotees, they're in distress, they're in pain, But actually, if we find ourselves sad, we have to analyze and become intelligent and see, is this just revolved around I and mine? Did Prabhupada create a society for us to come together and mutually suffer, while we try to think about transcendence. No, nobody wants to suffer or be unnecessarily surrounded by suffering. So Srila Prabhupada, he didn't bring that. It must be our own. We cause our own pain. So we have to be alert. Our intelligence must be alert consciousness. Because there's various contaminations that could come to our mind and our lives. You just leave it, you're inattentive, and we will become contaminated. Devotional service is very simple, but it becomes complicated if we are dishonest, if we're lazy, and we just take Maya for granted. So devotees, they have very great compassion because they see how living entities are unnecessarily entangling themselves. So the devotees, they feel compassion because they're engaged in sinful activities, improper activities, and it simply leads to negative reactions. It's like we mentioned, people are so engaged in activities that are just completely bond as temporary benefit for perpetual bondage. It's amazing. So the devotees, they see that this abomination, men are engaged in abominable activities, which is just causing their distress. So we have to develop these godly traits that are given to us through the Srimad Bhagavatam. This character, we have to develop character in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Develop these qualities of mercy, forgiveness, truthfulness, simplicity, impartiality, patience, gravity, respectfulness, humility, good fortune. These are all the qualities that actually eliminate the weeds, the seeds of the environment that's favorable for the growth of these transcendental qualities. So, and then it actually, if we're attentive, then the seeds won't grow. I heard an analogy of you see one cockroach in, say, somewhere in the kitchen, and then that means there's a lot of cockroaches there. So if you're inattentive, you don't clean the place, you don't do anything, then all of a sudden there's going to be more and more, and they're going to breed more and more, and then they're going to just be falling out of the cabinets, falling out of every time you open something, the drawers are going to just be spilling out of everywhere. So this is what happens, that these weeds, these seeds of sinful activities, of bad qualities, of uncleanliness, laziness, inattentiveness, it causes, we take Maya for granted, and then we could find ourselves just totally covered by the mode of ignorance and material activities. So this is what Srila Prabhupada gave us, this message, and the same message that was given to Arjuna, that we have to take up this process of Krishna consciousness. So this is where Krishna is enlightening Arjuna. He's explaining to him the 5 factors of action and the whole process of devotional service to him, so that we can actually go back to him. So we don't want to miss the boat of Krishna consciousness. He's given us the lotus feet of Krishna. This boat is available, as mentioned, for 10,000 years. Lord Chaitanya's message is coming. This movement will be available. So we have to prepare ourselves. It's a great royal opportunity. This is the royal opportunity. It's to engage in austerity like Lord Brahma. What is that austerity? It's devotional service. What are those 3 things? Chant Hare Krishna, do not worry, and be happy. And what are we doing? We're preparing ourselves to live eternally. So this is the process. Surrender to the lotus feet of the Supreme Person, the all-powerful authority. May take it for granted and say, I'll eventually maybe I'll perform some pious activities, and if I don't continue this life. I'll be born in the heavenly planets. You may go to the heavenly planets. You'll be there for many thousands of years. But remember, ISKCON is only here for 10,000 years, and you come back, then ISKCON will be gone. Prabhupada's movement will be gone. It's a very, very special opportunity, a golden opportunity, a royal opportunity for us. So we have to engage in the chanting of the holy names of the Lord. This is our process. There's a very nice verse I would like to read. It's actually from the next chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And it talks about what we're talking about today. I'll read the verse. O my Lord, persons who are bereft of the all-auspicious performance of chanting and hearing about your transcendental activities are certainly unfortunate and are so also bereft of good sense. They engage in inauspicious activities, enjoying sense gratification for a little, very little while. So again, we're engaged in activities, working so hard, temporary benefit for perpetual bondage. So we engage in activities, and it's just, we don't do very much, it's just very little while. It doesn't last at all. So it's, and then Prabhupada says here in the purport to that verse, it's very nice. The next question is why people are against such auspicious activities as chanting and hearing the glories and pastimes of the Lord, which can bring total freedom from the cares and anxieties of material existence. The only answer to this question is that they are unfortunate because of supernatural control due to their offensive activities performed simply for the sake of sense gratification. The Lord's pure devotees, however, take compassion upon such unfortunate persons and in a missionary spirit try to persuade them in the line of devotional service. Only by the grace of pure devotees can such unfortunate men be elevated to the position of transcendental service. So this is the next chapter, Lord Brahma's prayers for creative energy. And there's another amazing verse. This one is from also the next chapter. And this is a little farther down. So I'll read the verse here. It says, people in general all engage in foolish acts, not in the really beneficial activities enunciated directly by you for their guidance. As long as their tendency for foolish work remains powerful, all their plans in the struggle for existence will be cut to pieces. I therefore offer my obeisances unto him who acts as eternal time. So there's that time again, who's destroying everything. So whatever we do in the material world is temporary. It only comes, it's maintained for some while, then it dwindles and dies. And Prabhupada mentions in the purport how people are so engaged in senseless work. They're systematically unmindful of the real beneficial work, which is what? The golden opportunity of devotional service. And this is what's, as we saw in that picture, the Archana regulations. They're actually directly instructed by the Lord himself in the Narada Pancharatra. So that's why we have this very nice picture of the, doing Archana regulations. And this is followed by intelligent men. They know well what is the highest perfectional goal of life, and that's to reach Lord Vishnu. He's the root of the tree called the cosmic manifestation. So Prabhupada quotes several verses from the Bhagavatam in this particular purport, and I'll just read the verses. There's 3 verses he quoted, which are very nice. Persons who are determined to totally rot in false material happiness cannot become Krishna-minded, either by instructions from teachers, this is from the 7th canto actually he's quoting, by self-realization or by parliamentary discussions. They are dragged by the unbridled senses into the darkest region of ignorance, and thus they madly engage in what is called chewing the chewed. So we know where these are from. This is Prahlad Maharaj. Because of their foolish activities, they are unaware that the ultimate goal of human life is to achieve Vishnu, the Lord of the cosmic manifestation, and so their struggle for existence is in the wrong direction of material civilization, which is under the external energy. They are led by similar foolish persons, just as one blind man is led by another blind man, and both fall into the ditch. Such foolish men cannot be attracted towards the activities of the Supreme Powerful, who is actually the neutralizing measure for their foolish activities, unless and until they have the good sense to be guided by the great souls who are completely freed from material attachments. So we have the guide, Srila Prabhupada, coming to guide us and to save us from this material energy, and then ultimately we'll go back to the spiritual world. And there we would be able to experience our real activities with Krishna. So this is the end of the show. And if there's any comments or questions?
Gauda, I did not mute anyone, so everyone has the ability to unmute themselves.
Okay. So yeah, any comments or discussion?
Gaudaji, very nice class. You mentioned building character, and then you also talked about, which sort of ties in, being very strongly fixed in spiritual life, so that our faith doesn't shake when we read things like the 5th canto, things that are just like, wow, it's a thing I certainly can't understand. Right. Anyway, I was sort of contemplating that as you were speaking, and the thought went through my mind that I think it's quite normal and natural for our faith to shake at many stages along the way. And I was thinking maybe we should make a distinction between shake and break.
Right.
For example, within not just reading the Bhagavatam, but many experiences in our devotional activities, or looking at our society, for example, some of the things that we've seen happening in ISKCON as ISKCON's going through its various stages of growth and purification and evolution, some of these things can really shake our faith. I think that's normal. Yeah. And it can be healthy. But as you were saying, as long as we're deeply rooted in hearing and chanting, it will shake, but it won't break. And in fact, one of the things I remember learning in horticulture is that when a tree blows in the wind, when the wind is blowing very strong and the tree is swaying back and forth, it stimulates the tree to drive the roots down deeper. And the deeper the roots grow when the wind stops, then the tree grows taller. It's kind of a natural sequence. The wind blows, the roots go down. As the roots go down deeper, then the tree can grow taller. Because the tree should only grow as tall, commensurate with the depth of the root system. So that's also true in our spiritual life. It's our growth in spiritual life is very much dependent upon how deeply rooted we are in our sadhana, etc., because we're practicing sadhana bhakti. So I just wanted to bring out that point that if our faith shakes, that's normal, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. But we have to be careful that it doesn't break. And again, that will happen by very, very solid devotional practices and by very, very good association. And then when that storm passes, we'll find actually because our faith was shaking, but we got through it, we're stronger at the other end as that storm passes.
Yeah.
So I wanted to make that point.
That's a very good point. Yeah, that's why we have these weeds. Otherwise, these weeds take root, these small seeds of these unpalatable qualities. Then they just grow and they take over. So yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, nice.
Hare Krishna.
Hari Bol.
You mentioned something about Trikalagya. Was there any mention in here about
Yeah, I said that it seemed like Maitreya, it was almost like he had Trikalagya because he could see the beginning of creation, he sees like the Lord Brahma But, that knowledge came through the disciplic succession from his spiritual master, handed down from Lord Sankarshan in this particular chapter.
I have a verse here. I just want to share with devotees on 3 Kalagya. It's 1.5.13 about Vyasadeva.
Okay.
It says, such liberated person as Vyasadeva are perfect not only by the power of vision and wisdom, but also in oral reception, in thinking, feeling, and all other sense activities.
Wow.
A liberated person possesses perfect senses, and with perfect senses only can one serve the sense proprietor, which is Rishikesh. So I was also thinking about, I read actually in a purport somewhere, and it just struck me that when devotees, they follow the 4 rules and chant 16 rounds. Now, I can't exactly remember whether it meant also, whether it said when one who gets up at Brahma Muhurt. I forget about that. Not quite sure. But in that particular reference, it said that in the purport that whatever a devotee speaks, it becomes true. So just imagine, like somebody who is strictly following, and then, the process.
Yeah.
So, I'm sorry I don't have the reference, but I was quite struck by that, But here it also says, not only can they become trikala, but whatever they speak, it becomes true. So even a person following the principles, So it's just by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada that we have this access,
Yes. We see how Krishna always wanted to make what the devotees say true. Like Arjuna made certain vows, and different devotees made certain ideas, and Prabhupada had certain ideas on how to spread Krishna consciousness, and Krishna makes it true. Krishna helps his pure devotees. So thank you for that. That's great. So any other comments or questions? I think someone else is going to say something. Did I lose you? Are you still there?
Oh, no, Prabhuji, that was me. I was just commenting. It was such a nice analogy that Prabhu gave earlier about the tree and the roots. I was just saying it was a analogy. Yeah.
That's great. Isn't that how they make what do they call it, the mast on a ship or something? They cut all the trees around it and then leave it there to be beaten by the wind, and it's the strongest tree for making the wood on the ship. I don't know, maybe I heard that from Narhari.
Oh, yeah, nice.
Yes. Yeah, I heard I heard that somewhere. Jai. Okay, if there's no other comments or questions or realizations, I guess we could end here. Jai.
Well, thank you, Gauda Prabhu,
for your association.
Haribo, thank you.
I wish you all a happy New Year.
Haribo.
Have some good plans for spreading Krishna consciousness. Jai. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Haribo, Haribo.
Haribo.